You're watching The Sports Objective, the podcast for Pirates.
College football fans, welcome into Sonny and Semenza on the Sports Objective. Here we are in week 4 of the season already. You know, it's amazing. We were talking before the show, and, you know, you wait all year for college football to start. And then once it hits, it just seems to fly by. And, you know, this is certainly an exciting week ahead and a lot of great games. And let me go ahead and welcome in my partner here of ESPN3, Jay Sonnhalter. Jay, how you doing, man?
What's up, my brother? Doing good. Ready for the weekend.
Absolutely, buddy. And also, I'd be remiss if I didn't welcome in our producer, Bubba Rosenbaum, who's behind the scenes typing up graphics and providing us with some data behind the scenes. So thanks, Bubba, for that. And so, Jay, here we are, buddy. Week 4. Don't you kind of get the feeling like this is the first, I guess you would say, really big week where we're basically fully into conference play now?
Yeah, there's like amazing games this weekend, and there are some good matchups first couple weeks. This week though is loaded, and it's officially here. It's officially official.
It certainly is. And you know, just in case anybody's listening to this show for the first time, what we do here, or what Jay and I try to do, is to the best of our abilities, is pick the top games of the week nationally against the point spread. So it's never easy, but we do our best. I don't know if, Bubba, when you get a second, if you could put the graphics up on the screen, how we're doing so far this year with our picks, but there it is. Look at that, Jay. We're neck and neck, buddy. Neck and neck.
We need to get above 500.
We do. We have to. This is the week we get to 500, and then we blow by.
Then we skyrocket after this. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, but we're right there. We're in striking distance, so not bad so far. I think the early weeks in the season are the toughest. But thanks, Bubba, for putting that graphic up. Before we look ahead to week 4, let's just kind of take a minute to look back at week 3. And Jay, the one game that really stands out to me from week 3 was the Colorado State matchup, which it was a 10 p.m. kickoff on Saturday night. And if, anybody listening to the show, if you were able to stay up and watch that game, just in terms of the excitement and the energy on the field, I had an absolute blast watching that game. Loved it. And Colorado State showed up and really should have won that game. Jay, do you have any thoughts on that game and, just anything that you saw there?
Yeah, I mean, just what a wild scene. And, I mean, Colorado State should have won it, could have won it. They outplayed them for about 58 minutes. And then Colorado took over, and just goes to show you got to play a complete game. If you leave an opening, then another team can come in and win it, and Colorado did it. But I mean, that whole atmosphere and just what went in that pre-game talk between both coaches, and just I mean, it was amazing. The biggest thing is, how much fun is it just to watch them, whether you like Colorado or you don't? It's fun to watch, and that showed by the ratings, just like the huge number that came out to watch that game, even though it's 10 o'clock game here on the East Coast.
Oh, no doubt about it. I mean, and that's a game I've been watching for years, but I can never remember having this much press. I mean, right now, Colorado, they're getting like, it's like virtually 24/7 media coverage. I mean, on Saturday watching ESPN, and even the Friday leading into it, it was prime 24/7 Colorado. And it's amazing. I mean, people, how many people are just jumping on this bandwagon with Colorado, and it's a pretty fascinating thing to watch. And leading up to that game, you had the coach for Colorado State make his comments about Deion Sanders with I don't know exactly what he said verbatim, but it was something along the lines of, when I sit down with an adult, I don't wear a hood or wear sunglasses, which really, lit a fire under the Colorado team. Were you surprised by? I mean, Jay, very rarely do you see a coach, start a fire like that on game week.
Yeah, especially with Deion Sanders. I don't understand what these guys are doing. Like each coach is like talking trash to them. They're just using that as jet fuel and motivation. I couldn't believe, I mean, you get it when players are saying you're behind closed doors. I just can't believe they said it in the media. So, yeah, they were, you know what, I'll tell you what, though, Colorado State looked like they were the more prepared team for most of that game. And Colorado maybe, was bought into the hype or flat or whatever. But Colorado didn't play up to par for most of the game, but they did when it counted right at the end.
They certainly did, and that was one of the things about that game. There were some cheap shots. There was a play where the free safety on Colorado State, literally. Listen, I love physical football and I love hard hits, but I don't like cheap shots. And I thought that was a blatant cheap shot on Travis Hunter. You just have to call it what it was, and Hunter went down. I think he has a lacerated liver. So he took a shot right to the midsection, and he's going to be out for several weeks now. So you never like to see that. That was, to me, that was the one stain, on a great game like that.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, because he's so much fun to watch, and I think Colorado State was going. They were going after guys. I mean, I think they were pissed off playing that game as a rivalry game, and just all the attention Colorado got. So yeah, they were doing some cheap shots, late hits, but but it was fun to watch.
Absolutely. Well, one of the games we're going to break down here in a little bit is going to be Colorado at Oregon, but we're going to hold off on that one. So, again, just looking back at some of the other matchups from last week, some of the ones that really stand out to me, Jay, was Florida State is able to escape Chestnut Hill with a 2-point win over Boston College. And, Boston College had an opportunity to win that game right at the end. And, you wonder a little bit if Florida State was looking ahead to Clemson.
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes when you go up to Boston College, if you're not motivated, that is a very hard place to play and win, even if Boston College isn't that good. And I know BC isn't, predicted to be very good in the ACC. Florida State, though, got lucky getting out of there. And, this week against Clemson, that's going to be a big one. But they were lucky they came away with a win last weekend.
Absolutely, Jay. And then another one that was really surprising to me, in a monsoon down in Tampa, you had Alabama and South Florida were tied up at 3-3 at halftime. That was surprising. And, Alabama, let's just go ahead and say it. They are clearly down this year.
Yeah, they don't have a quarterback, and that's going to be an issue for them. I mean, when you look at these teams, if you don't have a quarterback, you don't really have a shot to win big. And Alabama has guys that are all going to – I mean, on Mel Kiper's top 32 board, they've got 4 or 5 guys that are going to be first-round picks. They don't have a quarterback, though. And I wouldn't be surprised if they lose to Ole Miss this weekend and if they lose 3 games this year, 3 or more. I mean, I really think with their schedule coming up, they could lose to Ole Miss, they could lose to LSU. I mean, there's some losses if they don't get improvement at quarterback. So it's going to be a different Alabama team this year.
Absolutely. And that's another game we're going to get into, Jay, here in a second. And just a few final, I guess some surprising scores from last week. We'll just touch on really briefly. Ohio U, the Bobcats knock off Iowa State 10-7. You had Miami, Ohio from the MAC knocking off Cincinnati 31-24 in overtime. And then UNLV, knocks off Vanderbilt 40-37. So down goes the SEC. And so obviously, and then, another big one was Florida taking care of business at home against Tennessee. Everybody wanted to fire Billy Napier after the first week of the season, Jay. And, that's a classic example that fans, when it's week one, you have to relax a little bit and let things play out, right?
Right. I mean, you have to give these coaching staffs time if they're going in the right direction. If you don't see the result, if they're building it the right way and there's not results, then you give them time. But if you made the wrong hire and you realize it's a mistake, then I'm all for getting rid of that mistake as soon as possible. But if you believe it's the right person, they just need time, then you have to give them a runway.
Absolutely. So it's going to be interesting to see what Florida and Billy Napier are able to do from here. But with that said, let's go ahead and get into week 4. A lot of really good games this week. And, I think let's start with the biggest one of all, which I think when you look back on the season, this might be the biggest game of the season. And you have Ohio State, number 6 in the country, heading into South Bend. Both teams are 3-0. It's a 7:30 start on NBCJ, and you have the Buckeyes -3 against Notre Dame. What are your thoughts here?
Well, I think this is going to be an amazing game and maybe one of the best games of the year. I mean, I can't wait to watch this one. I think Notre Dame is better than preseason rankings, and now they're in the top 10. And then I don't know if Ohio State is as good as their preseason ranking. I still have questions about their quarterback. I'm going to go ahead and say Notre Dame covers this. So I'll go with Notre Dame.
Now, do you like Notre Dame to win, Jay, outright, or just to cover?
Well, I want Notre Dame to win.
Okay.
But I think Notre Dame will cover. I don't know if I can say they're going to win. I'll go ahead. Notre Dame is going to win this game.
All right. I had to put you on the spot, buddy. I had to do it. So this is, like I said, it's a huge game, maybe the biggest game of the year when you look back on it. I'm going to even take it a step further, Jay. I think this is the biggest game in South Bend since the Charlie Ward Florida State team went in there. I want to say it was like 1993. Bubba probably knows. He's got like a memory like nobody else I know. But this is a huge game in South Bend. I've been really bullish on this Notre Dame team. I kind of put my neck out on the line before the season started and said they were my, surprise team of the year to make the playoff. And here they are, 4 weeks later, they're 4-0. And I really like the way they're playing. They're averaging 508 yards of offense per game. I like the way their defense flies around, so I think from a talent perspective, I think they've closed the gap in Ohio State. And I think the difference here is Sam Hartman. I think he's going to give them the X factor. And, I think if Notre Dame can approach this game as Florida did last week, you're at home, you have the energy on your side, you have the crowd, and you can jump out to an early lead here. I think that's going to be key to kind of take a lead early, get the crowd in it. And I think they're in business, Jay. So I'm going to say that's a long-winded way of saying I like Notre Dame money line outright to win this game, shock the world.
All right, good. We're riding together on it.
Absolutely. It's gonna be a hell of a game. I mean, bottom line. So that's the first one there. And let's see. What do we have next here? Let's go to Florida State Clemson, Bubba. If we can get that correct. Actually, no. Okay, thank you. All right, so we have Florida State at Clemson, and we have the Noles -2.5. This is a noon kickoff on ABC. Jay, what do you think here?
All right, I'm going to do another shocker here. I'm going to say Clemson covers and Clemson wins. I think Florida State's due for a loss, a huge LSU win, barely beat BC. I think Clemson's better than probably people think, even though they lost to Duke. I think they'll respond, and I think they're going to win at home.
Honestly, I think it's a logical pick. I mean, Las Vegas is telling you something. The country's going to overreact to Duke beating Clemson in week 1. But if you really look at that game, they were inside the 10-yard line several times and just kind of had some fluke things happen there. That's a team that is going to get better. They're loaded with 5-star recruits, loaded with talent. They're just going to get better and better. Dabo is not going to go down without a fight. On the flip side, you look at Florida State. I think maybe they looked past BC a little bit last week. Maybe they were looking ahead a little bit. I do think Coach Norvell is going to have their they're at full attention in practice this week. I think it's going to be a really close game, very close game. But I think Florida State will cover. But it's going to be close. They might win this game by like a field goal, maybe a touchdown, but very close game. I'll take the Noles right now, number 4 in the country, to get it done, Jay.
I thought you were riding with me. All right. We're going separate. We're going down separate paths. That's fine.
But I like it's going to be a very close game. And, I think people that are writing off Clemson are making a mistake. There's just too much talent.
Yeah.
I mean, Jay, Clemson's not even ranked right now. Think about that. That's hard to believe, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's going to be a close game.
Let's go to the next one here. We're just talking about them at the onset of the show. Colorado, number 19 at Oregon, who's number 10. And you have Oregon is a 21-point favorite. And Jay, just to make it fair, I'll go first this time, right? Since I always put you on the spot to go first. But this is going to be an interesting game to watch. Colorado, they struggled last week at home against a Colorado State team that's average at best. Oregon's going to win this game. They are going to win this game. But the 21 is what's giving me a little pause here. The more I watch Shedeur Sanders play, I love his arm. He's got a quick release. He's got a strong arm, man. He really does. He's athletic. So I think Colorado will score some points here, and I think they'll score enough points to cover in Autzen Stadium, or is it Autzen, however they say it. I think they'll lose the game by about 17. So I'll go Colorado to cover the 21.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I think Oregon's going to win. That's just such a huge number. But I don't see a way that they don't cover. But again, it's like one of those ones. Is that a fool? Is taking Colorado cover? Is that the fool's pick? But the public's probably going to ride on Colorado. But I mean, again, I just don't. Shedeur Sanders can be a first round pick this year. I don't see him getting blown out. So I'm going to ride with Colorado to cover.
Yeah, they're going to come ready to play, and he's just I had to watch. I don't anoint guys to like. I don't buy into media hype in preseason. I have to see it on the field. And now that there's a little bit of a sample size on him, I really like him at quarterback. That dude can sling it. So it'll be fun to watch. And it's really just to take a step back from the games for a second. If you look at the lineup, Jay, this week, the timing of the games is perfect because you have Florida State Clemson at noon. You have this Colorado Oregon game at 3:30. And then the nightcap, the best one of all, is you have Ohio State Notre Dame at 7:30. So, it's a nice lineup because you're going to kind of get to see everything. Unless you're at like a wedding or something like that, then you really kind of can't really watch much.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? But all right. So let's see what we got here next, fellas. We have UCLA. We're going to go out west. Number 22, UCLA. At Utah, number 11, and it's Utah minus 4.5. What do you think here, Jay?
Well, I'll tell you, I think all these games are going to be close. I don't think they're going to be blowouts in these ones. I just think Utah at home is so tough. I think they're legit. I'm going to go with Utah to cover, but I do think it'll be a close game. I think Utah wins by more than 4.
Okay. This is a tough one for me. I don't know. Utah really struggled against Baylor. Very lucky to win that game late. But to your point, they're a different animal at home. To me, this is a total toss-up game. I'm just going to go Utah for no other reason than they're at home, and I think they'll find a way to cover it. So we both have the Utes here.
There you go.
All right. Another 3:30 game there, and then another good one. This is a team, Jay. We haven't really talked about Penn State too much this year. But here they are, number 7 in the country. This team is loaded, a lot of talent. They have Iowa coming in, the Hawkeyes at 3-0, ranked number 24. This is another 7:30 p.m. start on CBS, and it's Penn State minus 14.5, Jay, in Happy Valley for, I think this is a whiteout game. Is this a whiteout game? I want to say it is. What do you think here, Jay?
Boy, I'll tell you what, it's going to be hard for Penn State, or excuse me, it's going to be hard for Iowa in this game. I just think Penn State at home is so good, especially at night. 14.5 is a lot of points. I don't know. I would say usually Penn State. I just think Iowa can keep it close, even though they don't score a lot of points. So I'm going to do a little surprise. I was going to go Penn State, but I'm going to do a surprise and say Iowa covers on the road.
Dude, honestly, I think that's another really good pick. It's what they did with that half point there really gives me some pause. Penn State minus 14.5. Iowa always plays Penn State tough. I don't know what it is. It's like Kirk Ferentz gets that team up to play Penn State. If this game was in Iowa, I would be all over Iowa. I expect it to be a bloodbath in the first half. Really physical game, but Penn State will pull away at some point in the second half. And I think that Iowa's limitations on offense, their lack of explosive plays, will catch up with them in the end. And I think Penn State will pull away. So I'm going to go with the Nittany Lions out of respect for my brother, who's a Penn State graduate. I'm going to take Penn State at home to cover the 14.5, Jay.
That's a good pick. We'll see what happens.
We shall see, buddy. We shall see. Another tough one, though. And let's see. What do we have next? We have Ole Miss, Alabama, Bubba. So let's see. We have number 15, Ole Miss, heading into number 13, Alabama. It's Alabama -7, Jay. What do you think here?
Well, you know what? This is a crazy one because I think Ole Miss can win this game. I think they can win it. But Alabama's played bad the past 2 weeks. And quarterback issues, all that. The spread's 7. Why is it 7? Is there something we don't know about, some Vegas knows? I'm going to actually do a surprise here and say Alabama covers and wins by more than 7. But that's just why is that spread that high? Because honestly, I think Ole Miss can win it. But why is that spread that high? I think Alabama's going to come out, be motivated, and surprise some people.
That's an interesting pick. It's a good thought. That's a really good thought. For some reason I thought you were going to go Ole Miss on this one, but I don't know. I don't know what to make of Alabama right now. They were tied with South Florida at halftime. South Florida is not a great football team. I'm convinced that Alabama is a little down this year. They're breaking in a new quarterback. That kid has a rocket for an arm, absolute rocket, but they're not quite there offensively yet. And the one thing Ole Miss can really do is score points, and they can score on anybody. And it's going to be a fun game to watch. I'm going to go Ole Miss here. I think they're just going to outscore them. I think they're too explosive offensively. I think they could even win this game. I wouldn't hesitate to take this game money line, which is crazy. I haven't gone against Alabama in years, but I just think they're a little down. So I think Lane Kiffin finds a way to get this one done, buddy. How about that?
Well, I agree with you. I mean, I think the only reason I'm taking Alabama here is just because the spread. I think it's a weird one. But, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, all signs point to Ole Miss covering or winning even. I mean, I don't trust Alabama. I'm just going with when the public goes one way, you go the other way. So maybe I'll be right. Maybe I'll get burned. But I'll stick with Alabama here.
Yeah, and this is a danger spot for Nick Saban, Jay, because we know how college football fans can be. They can be lunatics. It's amazing. It's always about, what have you done for me lately? if Ole Miss wins this game, there's going to be some major heat in Tuscaloosa, which is I can't believe, for me to even say that, or like it's hard to even fathom. But those fans will grow restless fast. So this is a big spot for Alabama, and if they're going to keep pace, if they're going to keep pace and have a chance to continue working towards being a playoff team this year, they have to win this game, because already with that one loss against Texas, if you go to 2-2, you're done. You're done. You're not getting into the playoff, and so big spot there for the Crimson Tide. We have one more, I believe, here, and that is, let's call it the Pac-2. Some of the remaining teams from the broken apart Pac-12. Oregon State, who's number 14 in the country at 3-0, heading into Washington State, who's number 21. And you have Oregon State -3 here, Jay.
Gosh, what a game. I mean, I think all these games are going to come down to the very end. I mean, it's amazing what they've been able to do this year, especially after being slided as far as, not having a conference. I'm going to do a little surprise here. I'll say the Beavers on the road win this game by more than 3, but I don't feel good about it. But I'll go ahead and say they get it done on the road.
Yeah, I'll be perfectly honest. I have no feel for this game whatsoever. I mean, first of all, I don't get to watch these teams very often just because of the time zone, and it's one of those games where it's a toss-up. I think Oregon State is probably the better team here, but it's at home. It's at home for Washington State. I think they're going to be jacked up. I think that crowd is going to be jacked up. Chance to prove themselves on a national stage. This is a 7:00 kickoff on Fox. So I'm going to go with Washington State, Jay, for no other reason, just because you took Oregon State, and I'm going to make it interesting. How about that?
No, that's good. We need some difference.
So, man, a lot of good games there. A lot of good games. It's going to be fun to watch. And one more I'm going to mention to you, Jay. We're not going to, no, not to pick the spread on it, but a game that's kind of off the radar for me a little bit. And you might laugh at me, but Michigan better be careful this week with Rutgers coming in. I think that's going to be a way tougher game than the experts predict. Rutgers quietly 3-0 with Greg Schiano, rolled up on Virginia Tech last week, and got to watch out for that one. And Jay, we might have a technical difficulty here. You may have dropped there.
I'm back.
Okay, we got you. We got you, buddy. So with that said, Jay, as we always do each and every week, we finish the show. We take a look at our hometown team here, East Carolina, who is, listen, this is not a primetime matchup. You're hosting Gardner-Webb this week. You're 0-3. Team's not playing particularly well at this point, but you have an opportunity. This is a must win. Absolute must win. What are your thoughts on this game? I think I lost.
Hey, I'm here. Hey.
Okay.
Hey. So I think Gardner-Webb is a good team. I think they're going to challenge the Pirates. They won the Big South last year and made the FCS playoffs. They're going to play up tempo. This is going to be a test for the Pirates. The Pirates come out and clean up some of the mistakes and come out motivated, which I think they will. I think it can be a big victory. If those mistakes aren't fixed and they don't come out, playing on fire, this game could go down to the fourth quarter. So I expect the Pirates to play well. I think they'll win, and I think they'll win big. But again, if they don't play well, Gardner-Webb could challenge in this game.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch. I mean, listen, if you're East Carolina, and this is a big spot. We talked about Nick Saban in a big spot. This is a big spot for Mike Houston. You're at home. this is a game you absolutely have to win. Right now, I think there's some pressure coming down. You saw the athletic director, John Gilbert, issued a statement yesterday. Nobody's happy with the results. You look at some of these, you see some of these things that come out today on, X and different platforms. College football's most undisciplined teams, and East Carolina is sitting there at number 5, and that's largely because of the penalties. I mean, the penalties are just they're horrible. They're killers. I mean, so many times last week you're starting off your offensive possession with a penalty, and you get behind the sticks, and before you know it, you're in 3rd and 15 with an inexperienced quarterback and a young O line, and you're just not going to win like that. It's a bad recipe. So, man, I hope that East Carolina can find it. They're by far the more talented team. I mean, I'm just going to say, they get it done. I think they're going to win this game by 14-17, Jay. Fingers crossed, right?
Yeah, I mean, the Pirates need a win, and any win is a good win. But they, ideally they want this in dominating fashion more than anything, though. They just need to have a win, that taste in their mouth, and hopefully it'll create some confidence and momentum from this point forward. But it's going to be a test. But I'm excited to see how they respond this week and how they play Saturday.
No doubt, buddy. Should be an interesting one to watch. But Jay, I think with that said, we I think we covered the biggest games of the week. I think it's going to be really exciting. I think it's going to be the best week yet so far in the season in 2023. Definitely looking forward to it. Any final thoughts, buddy, before we wrap it up?
Well, I just hope this week goes well for both of us. We had some same picks, we had some different ones, but we'll see what it shakes out to be next week. I just can't wait to see how ECU plays Saturday, and then all these other games. This weekend's going to say a lot as far as the playoff and which teams are for real and which teams separate themselves, because you look at that schedule and that Florida State, Clemson, Notre Dame, Ohio State, those games are huge. And as far as teams moving on and then teams getting a loss, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. But can't wait for Saturday.
No doubt, buddy. Looking forward to it as well. And I just want to take a second. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and watching the show. This show is growing week over week. Last week or 2 weeks ago, we actually hit our high water mark for viewership. So really appreciate that. This show can be found on multiple platforms. Facebook, YouTube obviously is a big platform for us. X, formerly known as Twitter. Really appreciate everybody tuning in. Feel free to follow us, like and subscribe to our Sports Objective Network, and really appreciate everybody tuning in. And looking forward to a big week 4. Thank you, Bubba Rosenbaum, for all your hard work behind the scenes. And with that said, we're going to call it, Jay.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Have a great week. Thank you, everyone.
Take care, buddy.